Hey there, Wall Street enthusiasts. Get ready to dive deep into the world of finance, tech, AI, and consumer trends with me, George Alfredas. That sound like a car salesman. Hey there, what's going on? But it's me, George Alfredas, and I got my partner in crime, gadget guy, tech expert, Porsche enthusiast, and globe-trotting guru, Dave Mathews. That was good, right? What a hell of an introduction.
Like wow.
By the way, where are you today? Where are you, Dave?
I'm in San Francisco. The sun is shining. It's beautiful out here. But we want to hear from you.
Yes.
You can email us. WNWshow@gmail.com is our email. Slide into those DMs, as Georgia likes to say.
Yes.
Or hit us up in social media at What's Next Wall Street, all spelled out. Plus, you can watch the show if you're just listening to it. We're trying to build up our algorithms on our YouTube channel.
Yep.
You can go to youtube.com/@WNW show. And subscribe over there, hit the alert button, because like I said, we're trying to get those algorithms kicking over there because we're doing great on Spotify. We're doing great on Apple Podcasts, but we started a new channel on YouTube this year and we need your help.
Yes, we do.
All right, crypto markets experienced major sell-offs after Iranian drones shook up things, you think, in Israel. Bitcoin nosedived by a whopping 8% on Saturday, plummeting from 70K to 60K in no time. It did bounce back at the beginning of the week. Ether and crypto crapcoin buddies weren't spared either, proving that all ships fall with the tide, as many dropped around 10%. Now, these digital darlings were basically the only game in town over the weekend, and their tumble was chalked up to Middle East tensions heating up. But this may be a time to buy, as the halving is coming. Tune in next week to hear about what this means to you and me and Georgia and Jamie Dimon from JP Morgan Chase.
All right, you got it. So guess who's taking the crown from Apple in the smartphone world? Yep, Samsung strutting its stuff as the new top seller. Garrett, nobody care about you loving Samsung. Our producer over here like, yep. Sales shot up almost 8% in the first quarter, and Samsung snagged over 20% of the market share. Now, it's not a huge takeover. Apple's hanging in there with just over 17%, while Apple took a hit with sales dropping around 10%. Samsung held steady with sales pretty much flatlining. Apple playing catch up? That's kind of a first. I mean, a first for now. You know what I mean? Used to be Samsung. We loved Samsung at first, and then we went to Apple, and I don't know.
Yeah, and Samsung's a global brand, all right? So Asia is typically more Android than the US, but US is still killing it with iOS.
Yeah.
So, hey, I know I'm starting to sound like a broken record, but another day, another data breach. Roku is dropping the bombshell this time. Around 576,000 accounts got hit in a security snafu. Is that what they're calling breaches now?
Snafu. It's just a snafu.
Yeah, no big deal. Hey, it seems like Roku stumbled upon it while cleaning up from a previous breach that whacked about 15,000 accounts earlier this year. Luckily, only 400 cases saw unauthorized purchases on their account.
Yeah, I'll bet.
Right? Yeah, but typically, like if you're a Roku user, you probably don't have a monthly recurring thing going on through Roku, right?
That's true.
Your monthly recurring through Hulu or Netflix or something else. And Roku, the founder, I worked with him when I was at Radio Shack, is the in-house inventor over there in Fort Worth, Texas. But Anthony, he created the Roku box as a way to watch Netflix on your TV. And, I thought Netflix would buy them, but they never did. Roku's a standalone company. But Roku says no sensitive data got snatched. Still, it's a wake-up call for Roku users to double down on their security game. And this is why, kids, I like to use PayPal to pay for things or use a one-time single vendor and amount limited credit card for payments.
That's smart.
So what I mean by that is you can go to Privacycom. You can set up a new credit card number, and you could say like, okay, for Hulu or SiriusXM, I only wanted to take out $4 or $9 or whatever your thing is plus taxes.
I'm doing this. I'm doing this. How smart are you? I want to do this with all my silly little recurring payments, because when I look, I'm like, wait, what's this? What's this? What's that?
Yeah. So the best thing you can do is, if you have a bunch of them, is use PayPal, because PayPal shows you the list of all the things that you're charging for. And Georgia, you might forget, you might still be paying for a MySpace account.
Boy,
yeah, but so PayPal lets you see it all at once. Privacy.com, they only connect to your bank account, which is kind of
same thing. That's kind of the same thing, though, right?
Well, credit card, at least you can get recourse. You can say the charge was fraudulent, or if your Hulu went from like $4.99 a month for the basic tier to now $29.99 a month, you can say like, hold on, your credit card company will help you. But Privacy.com, you can limit the amount per month and give everyone a unique credit card
I
number.
need that.
And that way, like, you can also, at the end of a 1-year trial, sometimes they boost the cost. Like SiriusXM, they go for like $4.99 a month for the intro to $13.99 a month or $23.99.
That's right.
So with Privacy, you can set the limit so it won't hit you with unaccustomed charges, or if somebody hacks your database and starts buying pay-per-view or whatever. So I love Privacy.com for that.
Okay.
And with PayPal for payments, you can go into the subscription settings and turn off payments which happen via APIs instead of those assigned to a credit card number, which you might have to replace. Like every now and then with a credit card breach, you get new digits, and then you have to think like, oh, I've got to go change my credit card number with all these, like, the wine club or the
Why you say the
storage
wine
unit
club?
or whatever.
Speak for yourself.
But one of my credit cards, they said that because like we're giving you a new credit card number, but we're going to keep charging the things that we've already been seeing come onto your account.
Yeah.
Because we've pre-approved those. So you do need to get them updated soon. But at least, the worst thing that can happen to me is like I'm out in California, my storage shed stops getting automatically paid for.
Right.
And then
I go over there and get all your old gadgets.
Yeah.
Have a big fire sale.
I love it.
All right. So listen, there is a lot going on in Elon's world. Okay. That's what we should start calling it. Elon's world. Elon's world. Elon's world.
Party time.
Yes.
Ketamine.
Yes. With Tesla.
Speaking of that,
right.
Tune into a prior show to hear about his ketamine use. That's
okay. With Tesla cutting over 10% of its global crew. Did you hear about that? Elon Musk dropped that bomb in a memo, probably in a limo. In a memo from a limo, talking cost cuts and the need to ramp up productivity. Tough call, he says, but a necessary one for the next phase of Tesla's journey. Meanwhile, over at X, formerly known as Twitter, every time I say that, I think about Prince. Remember when Prince was formerly known as the artist formerly known as Prince, and he kept calling himself like a symbol? Yeah. Anyway, Musk has another scheme up his sleeve. He's hinting at making newbies fork out a few bucks for basic features. Apparently, he's hoping it'll derail those bots from infesting the platform. What do you think? The bots, like the bots that are we're in an election year. I don't know.
Yeah, like I don't know if I'd ever pay for Twitter.
I'm not paying for Twitter I'm not paying for none of it. I'm not paying for Instagram.
Although, if you want Grok, Facebook's making so much money off of you. Like they would make less money if you paid for a Meta product, despite everyone bailing off of Facebook. Like, is Facebook even in your routine daily anymore?
I don't use Facebook hardly ever. If I post something on Instagram, it automatically posts on Facebook. But as far as me going to Facebook, I don't ever go to Facebook. Never. I just never have though. So.
And my Facebook engagement, it's all my OGs, my friends from high school and college.
So that's fun though. That's a good way to keep up. I should do that, but I just don't.
Yeah. All right. Speaking of Musk and Tesla, in order to boost software revenue for services on Tesla, he dropped the monthly price of their crappy non-full self or drive feature from $199 per month to $99 starting in May. Now, we talked about this on a prior show. He's giving away a test drive of the feature for the month of April. So tune in a couple weeks ago if you want to hear that show. So if you have a Tesla, you can test this full self-drive by entering a destination on your map, then pressing down on the stalk a second time. The stalk's like the gear selector, by the way. My Model 3 had full self-drive, which I hated. But I asked a friend how the new system, because the new full self-drive is all AI-based. Mm-hmm. And he said that it drives like a 15-year-old driver. Yeah. The system I used a year ago before I sold my Model 3 was based upon programmatic rules. So if, then that. So AI did not make it. Humans made it. And it drove with the alacrity of a 14-year-old.
Oh,
so
that's the worst.
Score 1 for the AI software with a 1-year improvement on full self-drive.
Okay.
Georgia, you've got a 16-year-old driving now, right?
He was 16 2 years ago. He just turned 18. Jesus. I know that's how quickly it goes. Yeah, he's 18 and he probably drives better than my husband, but that's not saying much. Yeah. In more Tesla news, Tesla's board is calling for a redo on Elon Musk's his mega payday deal, which was a saga, after a Delaware court, remember, scrapped his multi-billion-dollar pay package, now valued at a whopping $47 billion. The package is back on the table for a revote at Tesla's upcoming annual meeting, which is happening in June. With newfound courtroom insights, the board aims to flip the script on the court's decision. Now, back in 2018, you remember this, Tesla rolled out an unprecedented compensation plan for Musk, tying his stock rewards to some seriously ambitious financial targets, which he wound up crushing. Now, despite his stellar performance, a Delaware judge pulled the plug on the plan earlier this year, raising concerns about Tesla's directors' compliance. Now, Tesla is pushing for a fresh vote, promising more transparency to address previous critiques. Big players like T. Rowe Price are backing this do-over. Plus, Tesla's throwing in a curveball by proposing to move its headquarters to Texas. Of course, we all heard about that, citing operational perks and shareholder sway. But the board's rallying cry, fairness. They're pointing out Musk's unpaid hustle for Tesla and his skin-in-the-game approach through hefty stock holdings. Now, since 2018, Musk has not seen a dime in compensation. Wait a minute. By the way, that's WAYMENT, not to be confused with wait a minute. When somebody says wayment, they're about to drop some hot tea. So here's that tea. Musk hasn't been compensated. However, he did cash out $23 billion in stock back in 2022 and stashed some shares against personal loans.
Yeah, look, this guy's all in for sure, and he has no PR group. You know,
he doesn't need one. He is,
which is the best and the worst.
That's right.
But that 2022 money was to buy X, Twitter, which had its value drop unceremoniously. So it's going to be interesting to see what happens with this. I think it's cool that he's leaving Delaware, right? So many companies go to Delaware for protection, but this is the first time a CEO has been stopped by a court in Delaware. Like Delaware is supposed to, like,
that's the place to go if you're
something. What's the tagline there?
I don't know.
That's probably Massachusetts, right?
Okay, y'all comment below and tell us what the tagline is, because I forgot.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Hey, it's been finally revealed, no surprise to anyone, that Boeing was cutting corners to speed up production. After months of scrutiny, they presented safety testing for their 787 Dreamliner and 777 planes. Whistleblowers and safety experts are set to testify to the Senate and at Boeing's quarterly reports. They're due on April 24th. And do we want to talk about the whistleblower who was killed in North Carolina before testifying?
This is scary stuff.
Yeah, I don't want to be be on that naughty list.
Right. We're not talking about it at all. I don't even know how we mentioned that.
Yeah, it's like, can we cut this, editor? No,
it's not funny.
Crazy,
it's not funny. I'm just saying, like, it's scary, you know?
Yeah. So meanwhile, American Airlines pilots are sounding the alarms about their own safety and maintenance issues, from tools left in wheel wells to near misses during aircraft towing. At least their wheels and hydraulic fluid aren't falling off like the United planes, though, right?
There's that.
So the Union for American is taking concerns to management and is encouraged by Americans' response. Dang, Georgia, I love flying, and I don't know what airliner equipment to trust these days. So
I know.
My next trip
boat
is a road trip. Well, yeah, the boats. I did tons of boating during the COVID era, but I sold all my last boats. I'm gonna do a road trip from Dallas to a big car show called Luftgekühlt, which means air cooled. For I'm gonna drive
in German?
my latest car. Yeah, in German, in Deutschland. Yeah, I'm gonna do a drive. Like by the day this show drops, I should be in LA. You know, and join. Oh no, maybe not this show. Next week, I'll be there doing that road trip because I can't trust a plane anymore.
I know, but I love a good road trip. I love a good road trip. That's my favorite. But not in a Porsche. I wouldn't even drive my Panamera. It's too long. Okay, so Trump Media shares were down sharply after the company announced plans to launch a live TV streaming platform. DJT shares fell by more than 10% earlier this week, a day after they closed 18% lower. So Trump Media says it's ready to begin, scaling up its own live content delivery network. So this is confusing to me. Okay, I would think that news of live content would create so much excitement because people who are fans of Trump, you got to be like, yes, let's go. And that would make the stock go up. So I got to pull Greg Krause, lead instructor at optionsplayers.com, in to help answer this. Greg, why didn't the stock go up instead of down? Help me out with this.
Because they ain't gonna make no money. That's why.
That was simple.
So first,
they have like $4 million in revenue for the whole company.
Yeah, they've got a $4 million in revenue. Just put that in. That is not profit. Of course, they lost plenty of money. Let's look at all the people that have tried live streaming, and I mean, they're not trying to make shows like Netflix or Disney or something like that. Disney is losing money in live streaming. You're trying to go up against places like TikTok and things like that. First off, Truth Social, whatever, political or whatnot, what is that? Okay. Let's just say who's posted. I'm conservative as it gets. I'm probably more conservative than any Republican because I'm not a Republican. But on that end, I mean, I think the biggest hurt on this is they need to sell shares to pay to do this, and it's over and over and over. If you go and you look at its largest competitor, or not as largest, its closest competitor that's had an IPO, you're talking about Snapchat. Wasn't, I guess, when was that? Like 2017? I don't even know.
Wow.
That was probably the last real competitor in this social media kind of say that actually came out. Everybody else is owned by Instagram, that's Facebook, so on and so on. It was probably them. And they came out at about 25 bucks IPO'd. And then they went all the way down to like $5. And then they went up to 80. And now they're back at 10. And the only thing Snapchat's good at making disappear is its profits, because it ain't made any profits ever since it's ever made. So you think Truth Social is not? No. I wouldn't bet on it, but I would watch one thing with this. It is a meme stock, right? Everybody's following it. It is the most expensive stock to short maybe ever.
Wow.
Okay, by far.
Wow.
If you want to short the stock, which is only worth, actually, it's gone up 25% today. Was it like 22? And now it's, I just looked, it's like at 27 or something right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you want to short it, it will cost you approximately $1.50 a day in borrowing cost. That is a crazy expensive for something that's only 20. So you're talking, you have to basically make it has to go down 5% even for you to cover that, or you're going to have to pay that out of margin costs. So yeah, what you need to watch out, it's a very small float, not a lot of outstanding shares that aren't investors or large investors, because 70% is held by institutions. And then of course, the Trump family owns like 60-something%. So you're really talking a short squeeze. It is expensive to short because it's hard to get these shares to short. So if they come out and they try to short squeeze this up, it can destroy everyone that's trying to short this, and the price could be extremely volatile to the upside. So I'm not saying it's not going to go back up. I'm just saying it's a piss poor investment in the super long run. It's never going to be profitable, or it's never going to be a good investment. Put your money somewhere else. But
Greg, do you think this is a way for foreign governments to put money into Trump without the
good
kind of
idea.
watchword,
Well,
like,
look, okay, so yeah, no. Okay, first off, it is so regulated
No.
to get the money out and everything else. Then you have taxes and everything else. They got plenty of ways to get their money around. They're not going to do it where it's publicly traded, right? I mean, you could just do what all the other presidents have, right? Because you can have, let's go to the other side of the aisle and say, here's Biden, he shows his taxes. Well, he showed you a tax where he had 18 different S-corps with money coming in from the S-corps, but you didn't see where the money came in from the S-corps. He didn't show you any taxes. He just said, these are my taxes. It doesn't show where the money came from, right? It's the same way when you look at everything's being investigated. You got 95 S-corps. Okay, I own businesses. I have S-corps. I don't have 95 of them, and there's no reason to have 95 of them moving money around unless you're hiding something. So everybody knows you're doing it. They know how to do it. They've been doing it for 50 years. They're going to continue to do it. You're not going to try to get money from a foreign country or something like that to put into this to try to profit. Now, with that being said, will someone blame him for doing that? Absolutely. But it's a publicly traded company. I'm not investing in it, but it's not really helping them. I don't even know what the rules would be on that company actually donating money to Trump. Also, I mean, I don't know. That's a lawyer question, not me. I just look at it as
he's got
they don't make any money, never going to make any profit. And with options on it available now, it is going to just get volatile as crazy, and people are going to short it because they don't like Trump. And I would watch out. Don't do that. Just stay away from it, because its short squeeze is so crazy that people have to buy it back. It could just shoot up.
Okay.
But it's a trash
lava
company.
It's lava.
All right. Thanks, Greg.
How do you really feel? Piss poor, trash company.
Well, you got to think.
Ask Greg if you want to know.
Let's look at this. So if you really want, let's just say you're a conservative and you want your social media, and I'm not saying formerly known as Twitter is your conservative media, but I believe when Musk bought Twitter, which also never had profit, it was never profitable. It was not worth 40 billion either. But when he bought that company, it screwed any chance that Trump Media had with Truth Social, because you just took what you were trying to do to get free speech out there for everyone and no crazy like edits or anything like that. And then Musk came out and did it with Twitter, now X. Now X is what's killing Trump Media and the Truth Social, nothing else. It's Musk did it.
Okay.
So,
All right.
him. But he screwed Trump. So I guess you can like him
Wait,
for that
you
one.
hate him? Wait,
No,
you hate
he
him?
doesn't hate him.
Musk.
No.
I don't hate Musk.
Good. Okay. Just
Listen,
making
here's
sure.
the thing. We only ask a question. Don't ask Greg unless you want to know how he really feels, because he is absolutely
it.
not going to hold back.
We love it. Thanks, Greg.
Today's pro tip is brought to us by optionsplayers.com. Embrace education and support during market volatility. In a market that's been seemingly easy to trade during upward trends, it's essential to recognize the shifting dynamics as volatility and uncertainty become the new norm. Listen, rather than waiting until losses mount to seek education and support, now is the opportune time to leverage resources like OP's courses and systems, the courses at optionsplayers.com. Do not wait until losses accumulate to realize the importance of education and support. Take proactive steps to enhance your trading skills and confidence today. Explore Options Players' comprehensive courses and systems to stay ahead of the curve and achieve your trading goals. Invest in your success. Start mastering the art of trading with optionsplayers.com. Hashtag trade smart. When you're on the hunt for top-notch talent for your small biz, you want to find the perfect fit, right? Well, say hello to LinkedIn Jobs. It's not your average job board. They have a massive network of over 1 billion pros. It's like tapping into a gold mine of talent you will not find anywhere else. And the best part, it's totally free and super easy to use.
Yeah, finding quality candidates can be a game changer. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can snag your dream hire in no time. Seriously, 86% of small businesses land their perfect match within just 24 hours. Talk about efficiency, right? Now I get it. Running a small biz means wearing lots of hats. That's where LinkedIn swoops in to save the day. They understand the struggle and are constantly rolling out new features to make hiring a breeze. I mean, they even have a tool to help you whip up job descriptions in a snap.
So join the 2.5 million small businesses already crushing it with LinkedIn for hiring. Ready to level up your team? Okay, head over to linkedin.com/WNWS to post your job for free. Yep, you heard me right, free. So what are you waiting for? Terms and conditions apply, but hey, the opportunity's knocking.
Now, this is the part of the show where we get to hear from you. You can always hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street. Comment on our YouTube page. We love reading those. Or email us, WNWshow@gmail.com.
Yes, this first email is from Alyssa in Silver Spring, Maryland. Okay, Alyssa, girl, hey, neighbor. I used to work. There's a radio station and a TV station I used to work for in Silver Spring. And I used to live in Maryland. So, hey, girl, hey. Okay. Alyssa writes, or Alicia, oh my gosh, is it Alicia? I knew an Alicia in Maryland, in Frederick, Maryland. Okay, I'm sorry. All of the electric car plays that were running hot years ago are now down in the dumps. Are there any that Greg likes here, or are they all too risky still? Okay, Greg, did you understand that question? Because I was too busy trying to see if this was Alicia from Frederick, Maryland. Did you get that question?
Yeah, I got you.
Okay.
Are there any good EV trades? Well, first off, there's only one EV company, and that's Tesla. Everybody else sucks, okay? And it's not because it's EV or anything else. It's because Musk made a car that is cool, right? Let's get beyond how he doesn't go out and say, here's a Tesla, it saves the environment. No, he goes, here's a Tesla. Look, it's got bulletproof windows, boom, and then it breaks. But or this thing goes 0 to 60 in 2 seconds, or it does this, or it can drop. It's all about the coolness of the car. Is the iPhone better than the Samsung? No, but it's cooler than that Samsung phone.
That
Just
part.
whether or not if it is or not, regardless, it's the perception. And that's what Tesla is. So all the other cool cars, even if you got one and you think your car is cool to you, it might be to you, but it's not cool to anybody else. All right. Tesla, only car out there that's EV. Do I think EV is going away? I've always thought that electric cars are a waste, and for every car, and that's because you just can't power them. There's just you don't have the structure to power it. And you go back and you look at, say, like the Canadian logging. They did a study on the Canadian logging trucks. Like, you couldn't use every amount of energy available to Canada, couldn't even power their logging trucks for one day. That's how much energy they pull. So there has to be a replacement. And I've always thought it would be something else. And hydrogen, back in the early 2000s, they were using it. When a smart company like Toyota comes out and says, we're not going to focus on this, we're going to focus on hydrogen, and and everybody else is like, that's stupid. And I'm going to trust Toyota. Doesn't make many mistakes. Great company, always profitable. Everybody looks at Toyota to try to figure out what they should do. They should have followed on this suit. And I think hydrogen, as it becomes cheaper to actually get the hydrogen process and then put it into that little, it's a compressed tank, I guess you could say, like you would look at like a paintball gun, in the back or whatever you want to look at. As that becomes cheaper, that is a real renewable source. And the only thing it's going to make is what? Heat and water, right? You don't have to go and mine for lithium. You don't have to do a lot of that. But with that being said, I know like Cummins and stuff has some hydrogen engines out now, or coming out, and they have like a plane. It's just out. It's doable. And the Navy has a boat that runs off hydrogen. Look, it's out there. It's going to get better, but I don't think the basis of the EV car is going to go away. I just think its power source will. So, for example, it might still use electric motors because they are efficient, they're fast, they're cool, right? They go super fast. But it might have a hydrogen generator in the back of that car powering it or something like that. You get what I'm saying? So the fuel cell or the fuel is going to be hydrogen, and then that might go through a generator to an electric motor, which powers the wheels, rather than your old school transmission gears turning and everything like that.
He's absolutely right, because the first gen Prius, that came out in 1997?
Wow, has it been that long?
And it's an electric, the engine and the electric motor work together, right? And then BMW tried things like the i3, which had a little 3-cylinder motor in the back, which would generate power to recharge the batteries, and had a really crappy battery system in it. But to Greg's point, the infrastructure is not there. Like, Georgia, you tried a road trip in a Prius. It was miserable.
No, it wasn't a Prius.
Right?
It was actually a Tesla.
Oh, not a Prius.
It was a Tesla. I just couldn't, there weren't, the structure's not there to go where I was going. I couldn't stop. Yeah. I was terrified. I had to drive like 50 miles per hour.
And I think that's the biggest downfall of hydrogen, because right now you can charge your car in your house really slowly, but you can. With hydrogen, I've seen hydrogen gas stations when I was in California, but, I think... But when they really want to do that, then I think hydrogen would replace. But it all comes back, and we discussed this in my live actually today. Why are we not already using hydrogen if we already have it? Why do you think? Money, power. The United States is built off that petrodollar, and everywhere else. We want to maintain our power. We want to maintain money. You ain't getting all these rich people to give up money to be safe for the environment to make hydrogen the fuel. So let's just say the only way it's going to work is the people that have the power with the oil owns the hydrogen market. Plus, if now any country can just go out and make hydrogen, right? It's pretty easy to get it. It's in the air. Now you have no leverage over other people. So there's a lot of reasons why it might not happen, but it will replace, in theory, anything that we have currently.
Yeah, the energy density of diesel and gasoline is so high, right? And it screws up the environment, but diesel is like kerosene is like jet A, and all the airlines are pushing for synthetic jet fuel. So it'll be interesting to see how much of that synthetic jet fuel falls into diesel, and that'll solve that logging issue that Greg was talking about with Canada, right? So it's really cool. But even the Mercedes and BMW, they're like, maybe electric isn't the full answer here, so they're spending more money on hydrogen these days, as is Toyota. So, all right, the next email is from Matt in Virginia. Georgia, do you know Matt in Virginia? Did you live there?
I don't, but Virginia's right there. They call it the DMV, DC, Maryland, Virginia, but no, I didn't know Matt. I do know a Matt, though. Never mind. Go ahead. I did know a Matt in Maryland. Go ahead.
All right, so Matt says he doesn't have a question, but just wants to thank Greg because the last show he caught talked about the VIX line, and Greg, he said it paid absolutely huge this week.
Sweet.
Greg, thank you, Greg, by the way. And
yeah,
he's going to do car shopping. I hope he doesn't want to buy a Tesla, but talk about VIX real quick.
Well, I mean, we actually discussed this in the live today as we're talking today, which is, I don't know, Wednesday, like 17th or something. But we had VIX, which was below 13, and that was kind of my trend. You draw a trend at the bottom. I love trends. Anybody can draw them to connect the dots, right? And it was like, okay, 13 is kind of that bottom. So if it gets below 13, I expect it to move up in a few days. So we put out I think it was 2 weeks out, 13s. They cost us like 70 cents. They went up to like $3. And then we were like, oh, we'll sell these. And then went back. And then y'all asked me again after the last one made money. And we said, yeah, if it gets below 13, buy it again. I don't know what to tell you. Went back below 13. But then in the past few days, it's dropped. Now, today it hit $18.99. So to put that in perspective,
Whoa.
I believe the 13s, even if you went out, we were buying 15s. They were only costing 40 cents, and now they're worth $5-6. So you could have made 1,000%. Now, that would be great if I had any kahunas and I would have held those for that long. But once they made me any money, I sold them. I didn't hold them that long. It was great, But risk reward, and I was more worried about the risk, I guess. But yeah, they paid out great if you held today for sure. But most people probably sold them when they went from like 13 to 16, and they're already up like 300%. They're probably like, yeah, I'm sold. But
all right,
it's the same thing over and over.
Index. Hey Matt, I'm a car guy. I want to see a photo of that car. Email it to us, wnwshow@gmail.com. And remember, if you have questions, we've got answers, just like Radio Shack. And Greg's got even more answers and opinions. So you can email him, greg@optionsplayers.com. Hit us up on social media as well. And go to our YouTube page. Go to @WNW Show and beep boop bop down below and write up some stories for us. All right, we love talking about gadgets that you should buy or not. As I'm the gadget guy, Dave Mathews, that's right. But not that other guy who sings the songs in the same weird key. But anyway, this week, the AI pendant from Humane shipped and underwhelmed audiences around the US. Now, this allows you to ask questions out loud and send photos to an AI and get answers back over a wearable speaker. Now, remember how annoying the Next 12 phones were, chirping and blasting their output a decade ago to everyone around them? Thank God those are gone. Like chirp, blah, 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 walkie-talkie stuff. Hated that. But listen, I did love the movie Her. I watched it once, then just listened to it a second time on a flight. Now, in this movie, my favorite actor, Scarlett Johansson, and SNL News anchor Colin Jost's wife, plays an AI voice assistant and girlfriend/therapist for the lonely character played by Joaquin Phoenix. It's just her voice in the movie, which, technically is a crime, but I digress. So this movie is a decade old, as Her came out in 2013 from the director Spike Jonze. And it was a concept back then that was super cool and modern. I mean, having someone in your ear that you could ask questions or get a companionship with at any time, day or night, it's nice. It's definitely not bad to have Scarlett's voice associated with that AI as well. And it's totally unrealistic for a real relationship. Most humans aren't available at your beck and call every minute of every hour of every day. Spoiler alert, though, because the movie is old, here's the breakdown on the relationship. Joaquin was heartbroken that his BFF GF AI had 8,316 other relationships, and many of them had also fallen in love with her, which made her say that her love was only stronger for him. Aw. Now, more training data and a house of lives that a faux relationship was built on, only an AI could pull this off. Okay, but if you want to live this life with an AI assistant for the mere cost of $700, you can too buy the Humane AI pen. But should you? Well, it works like this. It clips on your shirt with a magnet with two options. One with a plastic back that's lightweight, and the other with a battery pack that gets you maybe 2 hours of use. Now, it weighs only a few ounces, like half the weight of an Apple Watch Ultra, and has a camera to take photos when you want to identify stuff, and a funky monochrome laser display that blasts images to your palm. Remember, monochrome though. You touch it to activate it like a Star Trek communicator, so that's kind of neat, until you want to throw it in your pocket or your backpack. It doesn't work though, since touch is required right now. Now, the truth of the matter is that it runs hot, has a slow interface, and uses cellular, and it always requires the cloud to ask questions and need to memorize these hand gestures and able to operate it. Now, these quirky hand movements aren't as clever and natural as what Apple did with the Vision Pro headsets, enabling the pinching and such with their real specialty, which was eye tracking software. Now, did you know back in the late 1990s and early 2000s, the Palm Pilot PDA, or personal digital assistant, it was a smart device for your pocket that didn't have a phone or a web browser, but it also required you to learn a special glyph-based alphabet, which kept the users from making it go mainstream. So already we know that a gesture learning requirement is going to be a big fail in 2024. But look, this is a first generation product, and the Rabbit R1 from the design house Teenage Engineering is developing another similar idea for a product, but not one that you'll wear. It'll go in your pocket and have a display. So there's no doubt going to be more of these, and there'll be more blood on the streets as they flail and fail. I mean, do we really need another speaker blasting in public and another camera that we wear? People don't really buy GoPros like they used to, for instance. And people on Twitter are calling the humane pin the QCat moment. I mean, you and I, Georgia, were involved in what was arguably the first Internet of Thing device. It was a barcode scanner that predated USB connectivity and acted as a keyboard wedge to go between your tower PC in your house and the keyboard in your desk. We soon, though, created a USB variant once Windows had that standard worked out and laptops became more common. This all predated QR codes by over 2 decades in the USA, but also there were no camera phones when we invented this QCat in 1997, and we launched it in the year 2000 with Forbes and Wired magazine. But many people called the QCat a solution looking for a problem. Our other technology debuting with the feline-shaped barcode scanner was an audio decoder that predated Shazam by about a decade. You see, your computer would hear a signal put out by television or radio and send a URL to your computer via the sound card. Now, this let you follow along with content when we launched with NBC television, but now Shazam does this within Siri as Apple bought the company for a pittance. Now, Steve Jobs was famous for meeting with entrepreneurs like Drew Houston from Dropbox and calling his company a feature, not a product. Ooh, that stings. And that's what the QCat became, a feature, not a product. But first, we had to build a product because the first computers didn't have web cameras and flip phones didn't have still cameras. And the resolution sucked for taking photos of the fine lines that compromise barcodes. But here we are in 2024, and we're actually tired of the QR code in America. Now, Amazon launched a wireless barcode scanner for the home and promptly killed that product. So how does that relate to the AI gadgets today? I say keep the $700 plus the required $24 a month subscription. Keep that in your pocket and stick with Apple AirPods. They're supposedly getting a new release with a rumored $99 price point in the second half of this year. Plus, Apple is spending $1 million a day on their AI team, which will enhance Siri. But today, I got to say, she's pretty good at what she does. Just from my vocal command, she could play my podcast, check the status of the lock on my front door, read the weather and news. And my friends or mom, when they send an iMessage, well, Siri now explains what photo it is. Like yesterday, I was on the train. My buddy sent a photo of his new watch, and she said, a photo of a circle with numbers around it. So I knew in my head that it was a watch face, but a better AI-backed Siri would have said that it was indeed a watch face and even the brand of watch that it was. So that's what we're looking for very soon. Apple's unlimited cache resources means Siri can only get better. Now, the next iOS 18 beta is supposedly coming to developers in June at the Apple Worldwide Developer Conference. And that's when we're supposed to see the fruits of this AI effort. And probably new emojis too, because look, we always get new emojis. So look, until Siri goes all AI on us, save your money by not buying the Humane Pendant or Rabbit R1 AI gadgets. Get re-inspired by watching the movie Her and enjoy more than just the lime emoji to keep things fresh in your early summer messages, or better yet, cocktails. I'm virtually sending you a lime, bourbon, and high five emoji right now.
So excited today because I have Stephen H. Watkins. Mr. Watkins is here in studio today. Well, not in studio, but he's in his studio. He's chairman and chief executive of Entrex. So, I Googled Mr. Watkins. He's the real deal. He's no stranger to the business world. He's been around the block, okay? Founding a bunch of successful companies in the information and business services realm. Actually, 2 of them even hit the $1 billion mark in market cap. But here's the kicker. Through all of his ventures, he noticed this recurring struggle for entrepreneurial companies trying to get their hands on capital. It's like there's this messy, inefficient maze that they have to navigate just to get funding. So, inspired by all these headaches, Mr. Watkins came up with this brilliant idea, Entrex. It's a sort of capital market tailor-made for entrepreneurial ventures, okay? And to really shine a spotlight on the entrepreneurial scene, he started writing this financial column that reached over 8 million readers nationwide. Not to mention, he teamed up with the Dow Index folks to launch the Private Company Index, showing off just how lively and kicking the entrepreneurial world is. He's also an author. Y'all, I got to get my hands on these books. One is called Capital Can't Fund What I Can't Find. What a great name. All about the struggles and solutions when it comes to capital markets and funding for small companies. The other is called Romancing Capital, Get Them at Hello. But how? That's why I need these books. I need to figure out how. But less about me, more about Watkins, who's not just sitting behind a desk all day. Mr. Watkins is out there in the trenches, rubbing shoulders with presidents and big names in business at places like the U.S. Chamber of Commerce and Fortune Small Business. He's constantly chatting with other CEOs of small companies about the nitty gritty of growth and financing and getting that precious capital. That's what we all want, right? So happy to have you join us today. Thanks for being here. And can I call you Steven?
You certainly can.
It's going to be weird because my husband's name is Steven. Okay, so it might come with a tone.
Ooh, okay. I'm ready. I'm used to that tone.
All right. So, oh my gosh, you're like a jack of all trades, but all trades being finance. How'd you get started in this?
Well, it's funny. It's actually logistics. If you go back in my background, which is more than you want to know. Originally, it goes back to my dad did a $5 million IPO on the American Stock Exchange, and he left the company with about $4 billion in revenue. And that's you can't do that story anymore. And if you're not raising $1 billion, the markets just really can't support you. And so after a couple of successes, I said, let's try to figure out how to support what I define as entrepreneurs. And it's interesting. If you look at the market, there's 18,000 public companies, yet there's 2 million private companies. Right, so the scale is massive, and those companies really struggle on an efficient basis to raise capital. So naively, we said, let's create Entrex as an entrepreneurial exchange. Sounds so simple. The issue becomes you cannot be an exchange for non-public securities. So we had to argue with the SEC. We had to argue with FINRA. We had to figure out how to get the broker-dealers through a trading technology platform that brought broker-dealers originating transactions and broker-dealers placing transactions and be that efficient, regulatory compliant vehicle in the middle. And this is back in 99, 2000. So we really pushed hard. Probably the pinnacle was 2015 when our broker-dealer managed the first trade on the blockchain of a security, which was kind of fun, Those were big, heady days. We did the overstock.com Tiger Cub security. And one of the other things we did was we found that equities, traditional stock of private companies, are very difficult to value. If I sold you a stock today of a private company, how do you value it more or less next week? And what we ended up finding, and we got a patent around this, for the securitization of a slice of revenue and the marketplace in which it trades. And so it was a process patent. And it basically said, look, Georgia, your hockey stick curve when your revenues is going to go like this. What's the likelihood of it going to do that? And you do a simple discounted cash flow on the anticipated cash flow from a slice of that revenue. And so let's just say we take 1% of your revenue, and then we divvy that up in a security for everybody gets 0.1% of revenue in their security. And then every month you get that percent. And now you can figure out what the value of that security is. It was brilliant. And so the first one we did on the blockchain was with Overstock. I think it was, 0.06% of revenue, but we broke it down into, $10,000 slices, and then it traded with institutional buyers. And it was really an interesting business model, I don't think the market was ready for it. I was probably a little too early. Now it's turned into a lot of crowdfunding and things that I'm not necessarily proud of. But I think when you look at the testimony we did in Congress, and as we were talking, I had lunch with Obama at the White House. It's really interesting kind of things to try to propel that sector of the economy, because that's the growth sector of the nation.
That's right. I like how you flippantly said, I had lunch with Obama, and so, I think that's fantastic. You're always around these movers and shakers. Let me just ask you straight, what exactly, and you've explained a little bit, but what is Entrex?
Well, so today you could argue we're a technology company that works together with broker-dealers, originating deals, and those placing. And so we've taken the model that supported the entrepreneurs, and we said, let's go look at how the carbon market fits into that. And you've probably heard about carbon, all
Neutral,
these companies, all that stuff. Well, last week, Bloomberg said it's going to be a $20 billion market in a matter of years. But it's all very illegitimate today. It's all done under UN sanctions and registrars that, you double and triple sell the security, not a security, you double and triple sell this offset because there's no tracking. Well, you and I both know in the financial market, you cannot double sell a security. There's one security and one person owns it at a time. The methodologies are incredibly efficient. Now, the other thing we found working with KPMG, which was kind of fun, was the trading a carbon offset on the blockchain. Trading 1 metric ton took about 1 metric ton of power to actually trade it, compared to 216,000 trades on Wall Street for that same metric ton.
Wow.
So the blockchain, energy-wise, is just so inefficient. And so what we ended up saying was we have to figure out how to make this easy for broker-dealers to support their clients that need carbon offsets. And we need to be able to produce those carbon offsets from the originators, the people that have carbon offsets. And so, we look like NASDAQ or NYSE, where in the middle, you've got these securitized carbon offsets that broker-dealers can trade to their buying clients.
Wow. So let me ask you this. Is this carbon neutral thing, is it a fad or is it the future? I think it's the future, but I want to know what you think.
Well, hey, I'm in the middle. I'd love it to be real, and I believe it's real. I think the past election cycle, it was a big question, right? Was Trump or was Biden going to support the trend? I think this election cycle, there's so much momentum behind it. The SEC last month declared that the large issuers have to have what they call a scope 2 emission. You have to count what your emission is. And based on today's emission, if you've declared carbon neutrality by 2030, which nearly every public company has, you better be on the way there. You cannot wait for that 2029 management team to be there. If you've given yourself 10 years, you better be 10% there each year, which means if you can't create efficiencies and lower your carbon footprint, you have to buy carbon offsets to minimize that footprint. So when Bloomberg announces, we need 1 billion carbon offsets, that's 1 billion metric tons of carbon, I don't think that market's going away. I think it's here to stay. The legitimization of it is key, which is why the SEC and FINRA and then creating a regulatory compliant marketplace for this matters to us. And why I think good.
No, I was just going to say, so you guys are kind of on the forefront of this. And if people want to, who are listening or watching on our YouTube channel, how do they find out more about it? How do they find out more about Entrex?
EntrexCarbonMarket.com. There you have it.
All
Simple.
right. Thank you so much you're just like a bevy of information I could really take. I know you have, Watkins is so busy. He's got other podcasts to do, but I could take your whole day up, but I know I can't. Thank you so much for being here with us today.
Well, thank you for having me. Appreciate the opportunity.
Remember, if you've got questions, we can help answer them. We'd love to hear from you. Email us, WNWshow@gmail.com, or hit us up on social media at What's Next Wall Street. You can watch episodes of the show on YouTube. Just type at WNW Show into the search box, or listen, share, take your Spotify, email it to friends, post it on your social media so we can get more friends like you enjoying our podcast. I'm Dave Mathews.
And I'm George Alfredas. We will see you next time on What's Next Wall Street.